Hello, it's me, Marcelo Bacarin, and today's question is, what is bilingualism? So let's talk about what bilingualism is today. For starters, let me tell you that language is part of ourselves as humans. We are not born with language, but we're born with this incredible potential to develop languages. And we do so in our lives, no matter what. Language, to a certain extent, is a little like sexuality. We're born with the potential to develop it, and we will, regardless of what happens. No one knows for sure how language started. Language just started together with humanity, way back in the beginning. But one thing we know is that the minute languages began to differentialize, the minute language started to be different from each other, then that's when bilingualism and multilingualism began to happen. Languages in contact, different languages in contact, naturally develop bilingualism. So bilingualism is a natural condition in our lives. It's interesting to think that monolingualism, to a certain extent, is artificial. Think about this. Monolingualism is the creation of human culture. We learned to become monolinguals because we learned that we were part of a nation, that we were part of a nation state, and suddenly we're all part of the same culture and we all think the same, which is not really true. I mean, we're all different in many ways. And in the past, different people lived in different communities. So this is pretty much our natural existence. So, and in today's world, in today's globalized world with fast traveling and fast communication and everything, bilingualism is just coming back to what it naturally was and what it naturally should be. Okay? Now, many of us like to think that bilingualism is speaking two languages perfectly, as if that was possible. Or bilingualism is speaking two languages as if you were a native speaker of both. Well, the whole concept of native speaker is very questionable. What exactly is a native speaker? Is it somebody who was brought up, again, monolingual in a family in this perfectly idealized world? Some people are like that, but many people are not like this. You know, we're brought up in different language communities and so on. But that's one end of the spectrum, you know. Bilingualism, speaking two languages perfectly. You'll find this definition in dictionaries and stuff. On the other end, or at the other end of the spectrum, you will find people saying that, and by the way, there's an author called MacNamara who says that, bilingualism means being able to use two different languages in two very different situations, in not more than one or two different skills, and basically sorting out what you have to do, solving your problems. So what I'm saying here is, imagine you are a native speaker or your mother tongue is such and such, and you need English to study at school, at university. So you read your books in English, you don't speak English, you don't write well in English, you don't feel comfortable when you listen to English, but you read very effectively and you can understand your text and do what you got to do. You're bilingual. There you go, according to this other definition. Okay, so we have here two ends of the spectrum. We have the more loose, flexible view of speaking two different languages, or using two different languages in different skills, in different situations. And we have this other end which says being able to use two languages perfectly Again, as if that was possible. I like to think of bilingualism as an in-between here. So let's think and let's try to put together a definition of what a bilingual would be. So here is my small list of what I personally feel a bilingual is. A bilingual is someone who, in 2 or more different languages, uses structures or grammar and syntax which is formally possible. Yeah? So this person uses the word order or uses the verb tenses in ways which are acceptable and understandable. But you know, think about Yoda. He kind of messes up syntax. You know, he changes the orders of words, but he still makes himself understood. So I think he's a good user of language, or English in this case. Yes. Bilingual number 2 is somebody who, in the process of communicating with somebody else, creates a little bit of attention, but not too much. What I'm saying here, intention, I means what kind of effort do I make to understand you? Yes? Do I have to put a lot of work into that? Or do I put just a little effort? You know, are there just some small hiccups in communication? Yeah? So in that case, I am a good user of language. Yes? Bilingual is somebody who uses his or her whole linguistic repertoire. Meaning, in my case, I speak English, I speak Portuguese, some French, some Spanish as well. So when I'm speaking to somebody who speaks both English and Portuguese, I will mix, I will overlap, I will get, the 2 languages, I will put the 2 languages together in the same sentence, is in what used to be called code switching and then code mashing. Now we're using the term translanguage. So I will translanguage very flexibly. On the other hand, if I'm speaking to somebody who's just a user of Portuguese, I will filter and make sure I make the tension, I minimize the tension, and I choose from my repertoire what suits that kind of conversation. Yes, if I'm talking to somebody who speaks some French like I do, I might be able to put in some French words in the middle of our conversation. So this is what bilingualism is, number 3. Yep. So item number 4 in my list is someone who's bilingual is capable of comprehending texts, written and oral texts, made for people with their profile, with their age, and their cultural background in the 2 or 3 or more different languages. So what I'm saying here is a child who's bilingual can obviously understand children's stories in both languages, can obviously understand when people speak to them at their level. But that same child will have difficulty understanding either language when they have to understand, say, a news program or a lecture which is not directed to them. Yes? So this is fair enough. So again, the idea of a perfect user of a language doesn't exist when you think about children. My number 5 is transactions. Somebody who's bilingual is able to make transactions using either language or, again, both of them together. What I'm saying here is, can this person buy something? Can this person negotiate something? Can this person ask for something, get something from somebody? Can this person get somebody's attention? Can this person apologize? Can this person introduce himself, introduce other people, and so on and so forth? Yes? So this idea is also very present and very important in bilingualism. And finally, another term which I like to put, so my number 6 idea here is bilingualism as appropriacy. What I mean here is, can the bilingual person use languages in appropriate context? Can they use language which is formal when the situation is formal? Can they use language which is informal when informality is expected? So this pretty much closes my idea of what bilingualism is. Okay, so I hope I've made this little explanation to you, and I hope this helps you go further in this idea of bilingualism and bilingual education and all these movements that are happening nowadays. My question to you is, what is your personal definition of bilingualism?